Welcome to another episode of Altitude Advantage. I'm your host and team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. Across the table, we have our lead writer on DenverBroncos.com, Aric DiLalla. A tough loss for the Broncos as they fall on the road in their first divisional matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. We're here to break it down for you, Broncos country. It was a loss that obviously came in the final seconds of the game. We're going to talk big picture, kind of go into the details of what we saw and just kind of the takeaways as we head into week 4 already, as we get geared up to go into Monday Night Football, which is crazy to think. But we'll get all that preview stuff for Monday night on Thursday's podcast. But this one's to break down what happened on Sundays. So tossing it over to you. We always talk 24 hours, give or take, after a game. So when you kind of look overall, what were your key takeaways from Sunday?
Yeah, I think, as I said, post-game, right, like there were a lot of similarities between this and last week's loss to the Colts. Obviously, the same ending where a last-second field goal sends you to a loss. And the Broncos, I saw our friend Parker Gabriel from the Denver Post tweeted out, the Broncos have not trailed for a single second in the fourth quarter of the last 2 games, and yet both have been losses. And so that speaks to, again, I think the opportunities that the team had to put this one away, to put the one against the Colts away, and yet unfortunately fall to a loss. I came in here last Monday after the Colts game feeling very, dejected, disappointed. Like it felt like a game the Broncos should have won. And obviously the Colts this past week went on and had a really big win over the Titans. So I think in retrospect, I think that'll continue to look like a really good football team. They're 2 games up, I believe, in their own division. And that's a team that, or 1 game up, excuse me, but that's a team that could win the AFC South. I think the Chargers obviously are in pole position in the AFC West. I come in to this one not feeling as dejected. I know it was a loss, and it kind of happened in the same way, and yet this is a really good Chargers team. Justin Herbert is playing as well as he's played in his entire career. They've got weapons. Keenan Allen, quiet until late, and then had obviously a big fourth quarter. Ladd McConkey, only 4 catches, but it felt like they were always critical catches. Quentin Johnston has figured things out. 6 catches for 89 yards. And the run game got going a little bit for the Chargers as well. This to me just felt like a game that, and I was listening to a national podcast this morning, they said this felt like a playoff game in September, and I really kind of agree with that. I think the Broncos were in this football game despite not playing their best football, and we'll get to that offensively and kind of what's going on there. But like, despite not playing well on offense for the most part, the defense was back to kind of playing how we expected. This was a close game that could have gone either way. And at the end, you need a stop, or you need your offense when they have the chance with 2 minutes to go down the field and kick a field goal. And I think that we saw, and the deep ball is a conversation, and we'll talk about Bo over the next few minutes as well. But you're an inch here or an inch there, and that's what decides some of these really good, close football games. And that was one of the things I was struck with is yesterday watching, like, this was a good football game. This was each team, threw punches. Each team was battling, and ultimately the Chargers just made a couple more plays. And I was struck by what J.K. Dobbins said and some of the other guys in the locker room after the game, which was, it was not this, hey, there was a sense of like guys felt like they let it get away still, but I think it was more, we've just got to find a way to make one more play, learn how to win these football games. And I think that will come because this to me was not a Broncos team that was entirely outclassed. This was not a Broncos team that went to LA and got dominated by any means. Like, this was a Broncos team that, despite not playing well in the first half offensively, found a way to keep it close, made their plays, had a fourth quarter lead, and you're truly 1 or 2 plays away again from winning the football game. And we're sitting here talking about, winning the division. Leading the division. And so we'll talk over the next few minutes about the specifics and the offense, what the defense was able to do. The pass rush was spectacular yesterday. Justin Herbert sacked 5 times. It was the most since I think like week 13 or something last year. Like, they really got after him. The talk nationally is going to be that really impressive touchdown pass that Justin Herbert had. But I think if you watch this game, you know that the Broncos defense made life very difficult for Justin Herbert. And so I come away actually feeling kind of encouraged about how the Broncos stacked up against the Chargers, because if you remember last year, the first game, the Broncos were not in it.
Yeah.
I know it ended up being a one-possession game, but the Broncos trailed 23-0. They ended up coming back and cutting it, I believe, to 7 before losing that football game. And then late in the year, the Broncos jump out to that big lead, but then the Chargers kind of have this second half onslaught. The Broncos, again, cut it to one possession, but it was a late field goal. I think both of those games came down to an onside kick that the Broncos weren't able to get. And in both cases, it was not maybe as close late as the score indicated. This was every bit as close. The Broncos had their chances. I think these are two really talented teams, two teams that are very close to each other, that if you played this game in Denver instead of LA, I don't know if does it turn out differently. But yeah, Sean Payton after the game said, they're a good team. We believe we're a good team. And I think that after watching this game is true, even if there were a lot of opportunities that the Broncos could have converted on to make this a win. And the Broncos are 1-2. They've got to start finding a way to win these close games. But I also think that in a few weeks we might, and I believe we will, look up and be like, things are totally fine. And Sean Payton said that after the game where, hey, we've got to get better quickly, but if we can do that, we're going to be all right. And it was not this last week against the Colts. It was like this gut check, this heart-wrenching loss. This, to me, did not feel the same way. This felt like this was a really tight game between two good teams. And today, Justin Herbert and the Chargers made a few more plays, and they ended up with the win. So I feel entirely differently this Monday than I did last Monday, even though the game ended the same way, the result was the same. And ultimately, as Cortland Sutton said, it's another L in that column. I actually thought, defensively they proved a lot yesterday, and, those are the types of games that you're going to have to be able to hold a quarterback like Justin Herbert in check, and they did that. So kind of big picture, I know I kind of rambled there a little bit, but big picture, that's kind of where I feel like they are.
Yeah, going back and just to the locker room and kind of what the guys were saying, Talanoa Hufanga, when they asked him just about the loss, he had a very simple answer. He said, look, I've started 4-4 before I went all the way to the NFC Championship. You know what I mean? It's it's not necessarily how you start, it's how you finish. And I think that's been the tone of the locker room as of late. Jonathan Cooper spoke about it. Garrett Bowles spoke about it, about we need to find a way to finish now. We have to finish these games. We can't leave anything in the balance. We have to be very aware of penalties and mental mistakes and things like that. And the accountability is something I never have to question in this locker room. They all take accountability individually. Hufanga had said, it starts with yourself. I point the finger at myself and I say, okay, what could I have done better? I go on Monday, I talk to the guys, I really talk to the coaches and say, what could I myself have done better? And Cooper said the same thing of, I need to be my harshest critic. I got to figure out what we did wrong. And obviously, you mentioned, some plays are just plays. That touchdown to Keenan Allen was incredible. It was one of that play, just watching the way that he was able to escape the sack, get it to the end zone. Riley Moss was covering him, I believe, very well, and then just kind of fit it in there to get the touchdown. So I know it was rough to kind of see that happen, but sometimes you have to give it up. That was just a good play.
Yeah, no, that was a heck of an effort by Justin Herbert. I mean, Zach Allen had him, couldn't quite bring him down.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. We talked about it last week with the Colts, talked about it this week. There's a couple plays here or there. Zach Allen takes him down.
Yeah. You had mentioned it when Nick Benita, you were if he was 2 seconds faster on
Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So this weekend, if Zach Allen pulls Herbert down there, it's 3rd and long, right?
Yeah.
And who knows what happens. Certainly there, and maybe we go into Bo here, certainly there were some deep passes, right? A couple of them, both of them to Marvin Mims, and then the late one to Cortland Sutton that just on the outstretched fingertips. And I do want to point out, because there's been the screenshots of the 3 passes and a lot of discussion around Bo. I want to go into Bo in a second. I think first, holistically about the offense, Sean Payton said on Monday morning, listen, in terms of where those deep throws are on my list of concerns, it's 50th.
Yeah.
And I know that it's easy, and certainly it's a a big play league, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that touchdown from Herbert, like I said before, that's going to draw all the attention from the national media. It was, the NFL tweets it. I'm listening to a podcast this morning. They're talking about it. It's going to be on SportsCenter. And you're right. It was a heck of a play.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of other plays during the game where the Broncos hit Herbert. He's picked off.
Yeah.
They're getting to him. They're pressuring him. There's a lot of talk online, and obviously your echo chamber is going to have more Broncos related. But the Chargers went 3 and out several times as well. It was not all perfect, and yet the big plays are going to matter. The first down run for 0 yards or 1 yard doesn't get the same attention as the overthrow or the drop pass or whatever you want to call it. And so those passes in particular, there's a one down the sideline to Marvin. There's a third down, I believe, pass to Marvin in the end zone after the fumbled kickoff. And then there is the end of game pass to Cortland Sutton, which that one in particular, Bo said, if I did it again, I'd hold the ball another second. I'd loft it up a little bit more so that Cortland can draw a pass interference or has a jump ball opportunity. But listen, those are inches off, and it can make the difference. We've also seen Bo hit those passes in the past. I think Sean Payton said it well. You don't want to overcoach those scenarios. And again, we'll get back to more Bo in a second, but I think big picture, it's the first down play that's ineffective. It's the penalty, that pushes you back. A critical drive late in this game. The Broncos convert a 4th and 1 near the Chargers' 30-yard line with 5-6 minutes left, I believe. Finding it here in the game book. There are a lot of plays in this this game. Yeah, so 4th and 1, a little bit more time actually. Early in the fourth quarter, 4th and 1 at the LA 32. The Broncos at that point are up 4 points. Bo's got a guy in his face. He adjusts his angle, finds Cortland Sutton coming across the field, converts 4th down.
Yeah.
And then the Broncos have 1st and 5 at the first and goal at the LA 5. And on 2nd down, Troy Franklin gets called for offensive pass interference. And now instead of 2nd and 4 play, you've got 2nd and 14. You end up with 3rd and 8. And it's always tough to convert. In the red zone, even more difficult to convert. And instead of going up 24-13 and making it a 2-possession game, you're now only up 7 points. And I think I saw a stat that in the last 2 games, the Broncos have had 6 possessions where they've had an opportunity to make a 1-score lead, a 2-score lead, and really kind of put things, maybe not out of reach, but make it
more difficult.
Right, certainly more difficult for the other team. And they've not been able to score on any of those drives. And so whether it's the penalties, whether it's the early down inefficiency, whether it's you have those chances and against the Colts you have the missed field goal or you have the interception, it's that the offense has not been able to convert on those opportunities. And Sean Payton mentioned on Monday, that's got to change. When he looks at what has to change, it's the early down efficiency. It's being able to run the football to put yourself in better 2nd down situations, better 3rd down situations. It's being able to capitalize on those chances to make this a 2-score game. And now all of a sudden with 10 minutes left, the Chargers are probably playing a different sort of game, right? And maybe you're able to make a play. Maybe you're able to get a turnover if they're being more aggressive. And who knows, maybe LA comes back and wins the football game still. You don't know that. But I think you at least give yourself a better opportunity. And so that's what stands out from this game is not necessarily, to me, those 3 overthrows. And I think, again, if they're overthrown, it's by a fraction of an inch, right? Because at least 2 of them hit the guy's hands.
Yeah.
But that said, what comes back to me is Sean Payton saying anybody trying to play quarterback in this game would have struggled because I think the average distance was 3rd and 11. And if you look at the second half in particular, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8.
Yeah.
3rd and 13, 3rd and 10. I mean,
that's difficult to overcome.
And you might convert a couple of those. And the Broncos, I actually don't know that they were able to convert one of those in the second half. But like that's and obviously only 2 conversions in the game. But that's why only 2 conversions. And Mike McGlinchey said after the game, I think he said it was garbage that they were 2 of 13, 2 of 11 on third down, whatever it was. But the reason that they had those numbers is because it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, and it becomes very difficult to live and to succeed in that situation because the defense can pin their ears back, come after you. Yeah. Jesse Minter and the Chargers defense brought some exotic pressures. Derwin James played a great game. Bo was only sacked twice for 6 yards, but there were several times where he was flushed out and had to throw it away. Yeah. I mean, that no quarterback in this league is going to consistently convert 3rd and 10 on every possession. And I think if you look through this game book, like certainly Herbert connected with Keenan Allen on that touchdown drive on 3rd and 10. Actually, it might have been it was Keenan. But like if you look in some of the other plays there, like there were times where they struggled as well. 3rd and 18, like they're not able to convert. Those are the difficult situations that nobody's going to succeed over and over and over. So for this offense to be better, they've got to be better on first down. They've got to be better on second down and set up 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, or stay out of third down altogether. Yeah. Because if you live in that situation
constantly,
it's not gonna end well. And we saw that, Elisa, last week in Indianapolis when the Colts had 3rd and 5 or more. The Broncos defense was terrific. They allowed only 1 conversion. But when the Colts were in 3rd and 4 or shorter, it was like a first down almost every opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that you kind of saw the opposite example here of what happens when a team consistently lives in 3rd and long and tries to convert. So that's kind of the big picture offensively, what's going on. And some of them are like you line up offsides offensively or a hold, that sets you back, or the offensive pass interference, like the penalties. I think it was 9 for 90 yards, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, well, even on that drive when the Chargers ended up scoring, I believe it was like 39, and I think Hufanga pulls a penalty, and then that gives them a first down, and then I think the next or 2 plays later, like he hits Keenan Allen in the end zone. So it's like
10 for 90.
It's like it's frustrating because they are aware that they have to clean those up. Like all these, like you can't beat yourself, right? Like you can't like let a team drive on you because you have penalties that are just allowing them to continue to move the ball, despite you guys making defensive stops. When you look at the Chargers' first 4 possessions, they had a field goal to start the game, then it was a punt, and then interception. Like the defense was able to try to find ways to, like you mentioned, make Justin Herbert uncomfortable. Another point that Sean Payton brought up last week was just not letting teams score on their opening drive. Like regardless of what it is, like trying to make sure like we don't already start behind in any kind of way. And then you look at the Broncos possessions, the first 4 were punts, and then they got a touchdown to end the half. They come out of the second half, get a touchdown, a field goal. Like their offense started getting going. But to your point, when you mentioned like those last few plays when it's just inches or just like seconds or milliseconds, whatever you want to call it, it is frustrating. I know a lot of the guys felt that frustration in the locker room. But you do try to take whatever positivity you can. And I think that's kind of how you started this episode of Altitude Advantage, is saying like I don't have that same like overwhelming gut wrenching feeling as of like this was just a hard fought game and it just didn't turn our way this time. But you can see where you can do something different so that it does turn your way another time.
Yeah, and Sean Payton did mention that if the Broncos don't have the 2 takeaways, whether it's the interception in the first half, the fumble recovery on the kickoff, that they're probably not in this game the same way. So they were +2 and still unable to get the win. Normally when you win the turnover battle, you're going to win the football game, especially when you're up a couple. But that said, I think that like despite all those things, like you said, they still found a way to be in the game. And with Bo, because I know there's a lot of discussion about him and those passes in particular, I want to make sure that we're offering proper perspective on Bo, because there's a lot of second-year quarterbacks right now, whether it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy before he got hurt. Like, they've had their ups and downs as well. Like, it's difficult to be a quarterback in this league, and I think that there needs to be patience, and there are going to be really strong moments. And I think you saw some from Bo in this game. Like, again, I go back to that 4th and 1 play. He's got a rusher in his face. It looks to me the way, like, there's supposed to be this outlet to R.J. Harvey, it looks like to me. Obviously, don't know what the play call is, but it looks like an out route to R.J. Harvey out of the backfield. He's going to easily pick up the 4th and 1. But that defender's kind of in a place where Bo can't get it to him. He waits for Cortland to come across the field and converts a huge 4th down. Like, it takes a good quarterback to convert that play.
To read the situation and deliver it to your receiver.
And then Bo's ability to scramble. Like, it's 3rd and 13. He scrambles up the middle for 12 yards. He's a foot away from a huge first down that at that point would have pushed the clock under 5 minutes with the Chargers trailing by 7. I mean, you're talking about a foot there that could potentially have gotten the Broncos close to icing the game away. So I think that mobility, his ability to avoid sacks, there are a lot of really good things he's doing, and he would be the first to tell you that, like, there's still room to be better. But that said, like, look at don't just look at Bo, kind of look big picture at what quarterbacks around the league are doing. And especially, like, this is one of the better defenses he'll face all season in this LA defense and their playmakers, especially in that secondary. But like, look at kind of some of the struggles CJ Stroud is going through in year 3. Like, I don't want this to be viewed in a vacuum where it's like just about Bo. I think there needs to be this comprehensive
of, like, the rookie class that he came in with and kind of where they're at in the process of this season.
And it takes time. And so and you listen to Cortland Sutton, you listen to Mike McGlinchey, you listen to other guys. There's not concern about Bo Nix. I think he made some good plays in this game. Again, like, if Cortland Sutton's able to haul in that late pass, the Broncos probably run a couple more plays and kick a field goal, and we're talking about a win, right? And then the narrative is, man, Bo Nix delivered that pass. Or if Marvin's able to haul in that one in the first half, even if it's a big gain, not even a touchdown, like, we're probably talking about this differently. So the margins here are very small. I don't think we need to ride this week-to-week roller coaster. Because last week, after week 1, everyone was like, what's going on with Bo? And then week 2 was like, oh, there he is. And now it's like, oh, he couldn't, I just don't know that that's the right attitude. You got to have this holistic approach, big picture view. I think Bo, from what I've seen, has the ability to be the guy that they think he can be, to lead them to wins. And again, it's not like they've been uncompetitive in these games. You're 1-2, but you're 1-2 after not trailing for a single second in the 4th quarter the last 2 weeks. And that's where it kind of gets to me, like, okay, can we clean up some of the penalties? That's fixable. That's on you. That's not a...
It's not something that the other team is doing. That's something that you have to mentally discipline yourself, or be aware of the situation, or talk to the guys, or look out for guys and say, hey, like, be aware that you are set where you need to be. Toe the line of between physical and pulling a PI or whatever it may be. But those are mental mistakes that, you, like, to your point, you can fix. And I feel like a lot of the yardage that was given up in this game came from penalties. So if you clean that up and take that out of the game, we are talking about a different game.
And if there was a talent deficiency here, right? Like, you were playing teams and you were like, we're not as good as them, I think there'd be a higher level of concern. I think it was clear at least from my vantage point, you stack up really well with the Chargers. And I think in week 2 in Indy, I think it's fair to say you were the more talented team and should have won that game. But so those are things where, like, can you correct things that are in your control?
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then you end up in a spot where you can start getting some wins, where you can start stacking some wins, where you can go on a little run here, and that then gives you the chance to kind of put this behind you. But I think the tough thing is that obviously we only have 3 games to go off of, so you have to evaluate what you've seen. Yeah. But at the same time, you have to realize it is just 3 games. It is a small sample size. It's a long season where teams develop and get better or don't get better. And Sean Payton, one of the things he said Monday was like, let's judge this team at the end, right? And see, okay, like, what were they? Were they a team that struggled to win games at the end, or was that an early season trend that they were able to
overcome?
Correct?
Yeah.
And listen, I understand that every win matters, and that if you were 3-0, you'd certainly feel a lot better. Even if you were 2-1 and leading the AFC West, like, you'd feel a lot better about your positioning, kind of big picture.
But we've seen teams start that way and not finish that way. So it's like, it's to Sean Payton's point, it's like, it's all about the turn of the tape. Like, I think you had asked him just like, what needs to happen for them to flip this kind of scenario. And he was very confident in saying, like, we can flip this. Like, this is flippable. Like, in terms of us changing one thing here or there, fixing one thing here or there, and change these losses into wins. I think it's something that this team is really focused on. To your point where you talked about just how long the season is. Garrett Bowles had mentioned that. I believe John Franklin Myers mentioned that, of the fact of, like, yeah, like, we understand, like, I mean, it's not quoting them, but, like, this sucks, right? Like, this is me saying that. But, like, we understand that, but we know how, like, the season is so long, and we know that we have time to fix it. Obviously, we can't go week to week. We know that every week we can't, like, have this, like you mentioned, like, this roller coaster, this yo-yo effect. But they're aware, like, we have enough time at this moment in week 3 to fix it. And now you're getting ready for Monday night and all those things. But you have a way to understand, like you mentioned, we are going out for 3 games, but they're also going out for 3 games. And understanding, like, okay, these 2 losses, what didn't we do to finish them right? And I think that's what you take with you as you go into week 4.
Yeah, I think that's a good point of, like, you had the chances to finish it, and you have the chance to finish it because there's these impressive moments. And, you know, that's the 52-yarder to Cortland Sutton. It's the Mims being open down the sideline. It's Mims being open in the end zone. It's Cortland at the end having the chance to make that catch. It's we'll talk about the defense more in a second, but, like, it's pressuring Herbert. It's Dobbins having 66 yards by himself on a drive and scoring a touchdown. Like, there have been times in the past, however many years, where there haven't been those moments or, like, those flashes, especially on offense, where you're like, this team's got high level potential. I think I've seen enough, like, at times this year, whether it's in Indy, you know, early touchdown to Marvin, big play to Troy Franklin, easy touchdown to Adam Troutman. Like, there's been moments where it's like, okay, when this thing is clicking, they can be really good. So that makes it a little bit. If I track here, like, instead of being like disheartening, it's more frustrating, because you're like, I see what they can be and what they can do. Now, how do you do it consistently and take that next step to where, you know, it's something that you can do drive in and drive out, or most drives, and be more consistent, even against the top defenses, because it's clear that you have that ability. Whereas if you never showed that ability and you were really struggling to move the ball and you scored, you know, the same, I don't know how you would score 20 points, but, like, say you just weren't moving the ball at all, then it's disheartening, because it's like, okay, well, what can we even do? Right? Because, hey, we're not showing flashes in the run game, or we're not showing the ability to connect on chunk plays, or we don't have the ability to get those easy yards. Then you'd be like, well, as an offense, we just don't have anything to hang our hat on.
Yeah. That's
not where I feel like this Broncos offense is, because they've shown the ability that, boom, they can bust off some runs, they can get big chunk plays, they can have a quick drive with great schematic design that frees up guys to score. And so that, to me, is like, it's encouraging, because you see that element of it. But then there's like I said, the frustration of, okay, well, how do we keep that going? But that should not be confused with, there's just not the ability to do it. And so, kind of like we talked about before, cleaning up the penalties, cleaning up the self-inflicted negative plays, that gives me hope that, like, as you move forward, hey, this offense does have a chance to kind of be what we think it can be. Yeah. And then if you can pair that, and maybe we move here to the defense, if you can pair that with a more consistent defensive effort, then now you're really cooking here. And let's go into the defense. I want to circle back to kind of that thought that other thought in a second about like, hey, what do you have here? But defensively, I was really impressed this was a Chargers team that last year, especially in the second half, really kind of took it to the Broncos defensively, made a bunch of big plays.
Yeah.
The Broncos in this game, you have kind of the missed tackle early in the game that leads to the field goal, but otherwise, like you said, didn't let a lot go. They pressured Herbert, sacked him 5 times. This is closer, and I think Mina Kimes may have tweeted this. This was kind of the defense you expected, right?
Yeah.
And granted, they weren't able to make that final play down the stretch. And I asked Benito in the locker room, like, what can you take from this that, you sacked Herbert 5 times. They hit him 14 times. It was the highest pressure rate of Herbert's career. And he was like, it's not encouraging at all because we didn't get the stop. And, like, I get that understanding or that sentiment. But at the same time, and I think this is an old version of the game book, doesn't have the snap counts. I think the defense played 86 snaps in this game. And so by the time you get late in the fourth quarter, you're probably gassed, right?
Yeah.
And like,
especially how physical this defense plays and how aggressively that they play. And to your point, Cooper kind of had that same mentality. I think he was also asked, like, you guys were able to hit him 5 times, like, and I get it. The thing with locker room that people also have to take into consideration, this is right after the game. Like, they haven't had time to look at tape. They haven't had time to reflect or think. So they're just talking about in the moment. So in the moment, they are thinking about that one miss block or whatever penalty or whatever the situation was in the game. So I think you have to take that into consideration when you do hear the guys talk in the locker room. It's fresh. It's raw. It's just immediately after seeing a game-winning field goal not go your way. So I think that's one part. And I think the other part is, I think for them, it's like, we need to be consistently doing this, right? So when we do it and you guys say, oh, how great, it's like, this is what we're supposed to be doing our job. This is our job. This is kind of like the bar that we've set for ourselves. Where most teams, if you get 5 sacks, 6 sacks in a game, it's like, oh my gosh, like, let's talk about that all week. And for the Broncos defense, it's like, we didn't do that week 2, and we should have got 6 sacks this game, so it's like, it's constantly having that bar set for yourself, which I think is beneficial. I think is going to serve them late in the season. And I also think, like, these situations of understanding, like, when the game gets down to the line and you need that key stop, not necessarily thinking about that during the game, but understand, like, you're going to be in those moments. So how do you overcome being gassed? How do you overcome being exhausted? How do you overcome that sentiment to just do one more play to, again, like had they mentioned, finish off a game?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like, and I think the tough thing about this is, like, we've talked about the Broncos. I'll find a way to get back to the defense. The Broncos, like, they won 10 games last year, but they beat one playoff team, right? And so this was an opportunity to beat a good team. I think it would have been the best win of the Bo Nix era, like, since he became the starter. And so, because it also would have shown that late in a close game, either Bo or the defense could, like, step up and give you that one big drive that you needed. And unfortunately, it didn't happen here. And, some of these things you hope the Broncos, I believe, are 2-6, 2-8 in one-score games over the last couple of years. Sean Payton did say, hey, this is a new year. We can't worry about last year. This is a new year. But even this year, 0-2 in those situations, I guess 1-2 if you count counting the Titans game.
Right.
But that said, like, you've got to find a way to make those plays because you're going to be in other big games like this, other games against playoff caliber teams, and they're probably going to come down to the same thing where Bo has to lead a game-winning drive, or you've got to stop the other elite quarterback on the other side, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, whether it's Justin Herbert, whether it's playing the Eagles in a few weeks and Jalen Hurts.
Right.
I'm just trying to think of, like, the other top 5 type guys that they play. But that's what this league is. And so you've got to find a way to make it. So I agree with what you're saying, that because my thought was, like, man, the defense played really well. And if they're not on the field, like, if the offense, the time of possession got kind of out of whack in this game. Chargers had the ball 36.5 minutes, Broncos 23.5. So defense is on the field 13 minutes longer than the offense. And if the offense is able to sustain some drives, convert some of those third downs, maybe you're in 3rd and short, and so instead of going 3 and out, even if you pick up a couple first downs, right, and just give your defense some rest, now all of a sudden are you on the field for 65 plays or 70 plays or 60 plays, and maybe that gap like gives you a little extra juice. So it all kind of works together. Like when the offense isn't able to convert the third downs or stay on the field, now the defense has to try to hold up, and maybe they're able to do it for most of the game, but late in the game, maybe they don't have that juice. But I do agree that no matter what the situation is, you hope that at the end of the game, your team is able to make those big plays. And the defense did that at times last year, right?
Yeah.
Like the Cleveland Browns game, the Browns are within a score late, and the Broncos come up big. And it happened a couple, like the Raiders had a chance to come back, and the Broncos come up big. So it's not like they haven't done this, but you've got to at some point find a way to do it against these elite teams. And now what'll be interesting to me is like last week, it was good to see them get a turnover.
Yeah.
Last week, they didn't play up to their standard, right? So now you go in, and we'll talk way more about Cincinnati, but you go in and you play the Bengals and a backup quarterback that obviously struggled this past week against the Vikings. They had a lot of turnovers. I'm sure their number one thing coming in will be avoid the turnovers, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're the Broncos defense, how do you make sure that you shut them down early, that you get those takeaways, that you make the big plays? And if, in those high pressure moments, maybe it's not a game-winning drive, maybe it is, like 3rd and long, key 4th down, before the end of the half, like how do you make those plays and have that be a consistent thing, like you said, week to week, where it's not, okay, which version are we going to get? And again, I think it's too early to assume it's going to be kind of up and down because it's only been 3 weeks, and in 2 of the 3 weeks, the defense, I think, has been really good.
Yeah. I still go back to what Sean Payton said about during training camp when he was like, the first 4 weeks are kind of where we assess certain things, and it may or may not go our way in certain times, but that's kind of like his threshold to make adjustments. And you brought it up in, I believe, like the past 3 game previews or game recaps that we've done, where he has a very good October record, and that is for a reason. He is able to assess what needs to get fixed over the first 4 weeks, whether good or bad, whether those are wins or losses, regardless, but taking what happened in those games, translating that, because if you look at the schedule ahead, like October, they're going to have some tough opponents. And I think a good measuring stick for this team and for this defense and this offense in general, you don't play the Chargers again until the last game of the year.
Yep.
So that measuring stick from now to here, you need to make sure that there's actually something to show the progress of, right? Of regard of everything we're talking about, everything the guys are talking about, everything the head coach Sean Payton is talking about. Like, not that that's what they're looking for. That's not for them to do. It's really for us to talk about. But kind of like that measuring stick of, this is what it was at the very beginning of the year. And at the end of the year, if you're able to make these adjustments, make these fixes, and translate that into wins over the course of the next few weeks, what does that game look like in December? And how do you use these growing pains to just either go out and dominate or go out and just let them know that you are not the same team they saw now?
Yeah, there's clearly work to do, right? And I think what's interesting is that there seems to be this sentiment, and especially like players are going to be disappointed, right?
Of course.
And they're going to be like, I don't want to say that the head coach has maybe this is true. Like, I think sometimes the head coach has a bigger picture view of what's going on, where like after a game, if the Broncos win but doesn't look good, players in the locker room are often like very excited that they got the win, and the message from Sean Payton can be like, we've got to be better. Like, this wasn't good enough. And then the same thing after losses, like players can sometimes be down, and yet you kind of get the message from Sean Payton of like, what is the big picture message, philosophy, mindset going to be? Yeah. And I was struck by Sean Payton last week saying, hey, this is gut-wrenching. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, like, that was gut-wrenching. This is going to be a bitter taste in our mouth for the next few days. Like, this is a tough pill to swallow. Like, you could tell that one, I don't know if bugged him is the right word, but like,
it just hit differently.
Yeah, like that was, I think, a really tough one to swallow. Whereas yesterday, and I don't want to say like they were okay with it, because that's not the case at all, but there seemed to be this understanding or this energy from Sean Payton that was like, hey, we weren't anywhere close to our best, and we just went toe to toe with like one of the best teams
Who is at their best right
in
now.
the AFC, who is playing really well, and Justin Herbert is playing at an MVP level. And like, I think if you look at their schedule outside of there's a really good chance that they're like 6 or 7-0 in a few weeks. Like they play a couple tough games, but like there's also some that they should take care of.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about a team that obviously is now in the driver's seat for the AFC West.
Yeah.
But also a team that I think is probably, if you like looking at the AFC right now with Buffalo, Baltimore, the Chargers are probably right there with them. And I'll be interested to see like when the Chargers take on that sort of team. I actually don't know if they play either of those teams in the regular season. I guess they don't based on the scheduling formula. But like when they play the Chiefs again, or they play the Colts in a few weeks, like how do they look? How do they stack up? I suspect that this is a Chargers team that is going to do impressive things, especially over the next few weeks of the season. And so I say all that because I think there was this sense that, yeah, we lost, and it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds with the penalties and the negative plays, and we didn't convert on our opportunities. But, man, we really had a chance, and we really could be walking out of here right now with a win. And it's not like you needed a million things to go your way to do that. Like you just weathered the storm. You played a tough game.
Yeah.
You were in the sort of game you wanted to be in, and quite frankly, you had your chances to do it. And so I think if the Broncos were walking out of that game and it was never competitive,
Right.
or it was like the
Or
end
they were
of,
shut out or something like
right,
yeah.
or like the end of last year's. I remember after the Week 6 game last year, Broncos are down 23-0. They cut it to 23-16.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton after the game was asked about, Bo Nix threw some, and he was like, a lot of that was empty calories, I think is how he put it. Like a lot of those points came in garbage time, and he wasn't all that interested in discussing like, oh, the Broncos made a late charge, because I think he viewed it as like, when it mattered, the Broncos were not able to do that. Like a lot of those points came late, and so that, and then even last year, like again, it was a one possession game, but in Week 16, but the field goal kind of came late. It was maybe not. It was a one score game, I think you would say, in like name or score only, not how it felt watching it. Whereas this game, again, a good Chargers team, and yet you go in there, you don't have your best stuff, you really struggle offensively, and yet you find a way where, hey, we punch it in from 1st and goal at the 5, probably win this football game. Or Zach Allen takes Herbert down, or Bo is 1 yard further on that scramble, you probably win this football game. And so I think he said this, hey, if we clean things up, we're going to be all right. Like, I think there's almost, and it's not a moral victory.
I think a lot of the guys feel that way too.
Yeah, like it's not a moral victory. I want to be clear, because I know fans don't like that, and players and coaches, like that's not something they're looking for.
Right.
But we talked about before this week, it can still be a barometer of where you are and like a measuring stick. And I think in a lot of ways the Broncos measured up really favorably. And so I remember 4 years ago, 2021, Broncos were 3-0. They'd beaten the Giants, they'd beaten the Jaguars, and they beat the Jets. They were 3-0. And yet I didn't really feel like I knew yet what they were. And then when they played some of these other teams, the more competitive teams, the Ravens came in here, for example.
Yeah.
They played the Steelers next. There was another. There was one other. Or they played the Raiders.
Okay.
And like they played some better teams, and they lost. And those games were not necessarily competitive. Like the Ravens game, it might have. I can't remember what the score was. Like it might have even been a 1-score game. But the Ravens, it did not feel close. And so I think there's even like you can be 3-0 and not really know what you have with the team, or maybe the team is not even like maybe it's a deceptive 3-0.
Yeah.
We'll see if this comes back to bite me. I feel like this is
hopefully not.
I feel like this is a deceptive 1-2 where again,
that's how I feel about the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs being 1-2, like is a deceptive. Like it's just because something about, and I get your sentiment of that, of like, even as a fan, like being a fan in the years past, things like that, your team is 3-0, but there's something lingering there that you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, what's going to happen that's going to cause this turn? Or is this really who we are? And that ties back to what you said earlier about, like, it's early in the season. That's why you can't, even if you are 3-0, it's hard to see what they're going to be. Even for the Chargers, they're 3-0. Like, I'm interested to see how they're going to, I'm not sure. I'm like, okay, like, is this really the new look Chargers team what we're going to see for the rest of the season? Or
I think this is a real Chargers team. I think, like,
or are they going to flip?
No, I think the way and it doesn't mean the Broncos can't catch them because they still have difficult games, and it's the difference of 2 losses right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Chargers lose one, and then you beat them in Week 18, and now you're even again, right? So
yeah.
it's not this insurmountable lead, but I do think they're for real the way Herbert's playing, the way the defense is playing. But I think what I mean with like a deceptive 1-2 is that you've not trailed for a single second in the fourth quarter in either of these games. You
could easily be 3-0 yourself.
You've gone toe to toe with 2 division leaders.
Yeah.
On the road. You've just hit Herbert 14 times and sacked him 5 times and really held him in check. He had a 76 passer rating. Bose was 87. Like you've made plays and you've been in these games, and they've been like, especially against the Colts, you should have won. Against the Chargers, you could argue you should have won. And so that, to me, we always talk about, one of the things I like to look at a lot is point differential instead of wins and losses. Like you can, and this is kind of a baseball thing too, I think, like, but especially in football, if you look like midway through the season at the point differential and whose record agrees with, like, there are teams where they're minus 50 in the point differential, but they're like 3-3 or they're 4-3. And you can kind of tell that maybe that's a team that over the second half of the season, they're going to fall off, or the Chiefs are actually a really good example, and we'll see what happens. Last year they were 15-2, but I think the Broncos actually had a better point differential because the Chiefs won so many one-score games. It pointed to a little bit of regression.
Won like 11 or something.
Yeah, I think they
led the NFL in like winning one possession game.
One score game. And so you think, okay, maybe there's a little regression there. Week 1, week 2 this year, they lose 1-score games. The Broncos' point differential right now is still positive, even though they're 1-2. And I suspect that like that kind of means that they are maybe better than their record indicates. I suspect that in a few weeks, a lot of this is going to level out. You're going to see a team that starts to get the wins to go with how they're playing. Because, yeah, there are some 2-1 teams. There's some 3-0 teams that I'm pretty confident that the Broncos match up with favorably based on how they've played the last few weeks. And so, listen, I think this. I still believe in this team. I think it's clear that Sean Payton still believes in this team. He said he has no doubt that they can turn this around, and I think this can. I think there's still a playoff caliber team, a team that can still compete for the division. I think this is a team that, when they clean up some of these mistakes, can really still be a contender, even though we haven't seen it happen quite yet. And that stands out because, again, you can have teams that are, like you said, 2-1, 3-0, but have issues. And the Broncos, to me, feel like the opposite, where maybe their record doesn't indicate the way they're playing. Now, all that said, you still got to go do it, right? Like, you can have all the potential and have all the point differential and be leading the full fourth quarter.
But you have to finish.
At some point, you still got to finish and turn it into wins.
Yeah.
But I do think that when I watch this team, it's a better team than the record indicates, and that's why I kind of believe they're going to be just fine. But certainly this week against the Bengals, a backup quarterback that just had a tough loss, like, you got to go do it this week, right? So
it's Monday night.
We'll see how that goes. We'll preview it. But this one, I think, despite this and the Colts game, they look so similar in a lot of ways. This one, when you dig in, I think there's, and I know fans don't want to hear it right now, and they don't want to be told like that everything's okay. And again, you've got to go do it. But I think that there's some good here, and there's some signs that big picture things are going to be okay.
I think so too, and I think fans still believe. I mean, I still believe. I mean, it's just so early. Like, I hate. I don't hate. No, I do. I hate. I hate when people get too ahead of themselves. It's just like, let's just breathe. Let's just relax. Like, flights. You hit some turbulence, but you can get back and smooth ride it out. Like, I
don't like that metaphor.
I'm just saying that's the way I look at it. I said, look, if I'm on a plane, like Sean Payton is the captain. If there's turbulence, but they're still serving drinks and stuff, I'm like, all right, I'm all right. Like, now, if you put away the drink cart, I'm going to be a little nervous. But that's not where this team is at. Like, this team isn't concerned. I'm not concerned. I use that metaphor a lot. Like, I never worry. I'm like, look, what's going to happen is going to happen. You have to trust who's at the helm of this, and that is Sean Payton. That is your team captains, and the message that they're delivering to the team of, like, we're going to be fine. We have to fix these mistakes ourselves, and we're going to be fine. And Aric may never get on a plane again. But until
I don't like the other side of that metaphor.
The turbulence happens.
Yeah, I know, but
and you get past
if
it.
they put away the drink cart, I don't like that.
Yeah, well, we're not there yet. We're not gonna get there.
I don't like that in any situation. I don't like.
You're like, give me the drink cart. All right, well, that'll do it for this edition of Altitude Advantage. Once again, I'm your host and team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. Across the table, we have our lead writer on DenverBroncos.com, our mathematician, our point differential mastermind. I don't know.
I like safe flights. I don't want scary flights, to be clear.
Oh my God, you're still thinking about the flight. Well, Broncos country, remember, we're going to get you.
What kind of flights are you on? You're like,
you'd be surprised. Flying into the Denver airport a lot. We're not even going to get into that. But we are going to get into the preview on Thursday, so make sure you guys tune in for that. Leave your comments, leave your thoughts. We're going to read some of our favorites on Thursday's episode. But until then, make sure you keep up with the latest on DenverBroncos.com.